What's up, Taiwan? I'm Joyce with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Chinese state-sponsored hackers were able to access internal documents of the U.S. Treasury Department, according to a recent letter to U.S. lawmakers. Chris Gorin has been following this story and comes to us live here in Taipei. Chris, what can you tell us about this hack?
Well, we don't know too much, Joyce, and what we do know comes from a letter sent from the Treasury Department to the Senate Banking Committee. Now, in short, the letter says that on December 8th, the Treasury was notified that a key to a key from a third-party software provider known as Beyond Trust had been compromised by a Chinese state-sponsored actor. Now, the letter went on to say that the actor was able to access certain employee stations and unclassified documents that were maintained by those employees. Also, the letter went on to say that there is no evidence that this service is still online or that the hackers still have access to any Treasury information. Now, it's important to point out that the Chinese embassy in Washington has denied any responsibility for this hack, calling the claims smear attacks without any evidence. Now, China has always denied any claims of hacks against U.S. systems, but there have been several of these attacks in recent years, perhaps the most prominent of which was a hack into U.S. telecoms by groups known as Salt Typhoon and Volt Typhoon. And also last year, the Commerce Secretary, Gina Raimondo, actually had one of her email accounts hacked. And so that's all we know for now, but the Treasury Department is required to put out a more detailed report within 30 days, and so we may learn more about this then.
And Chris, what does this say about the state of U.S. cyber defense given the string of successful Chinese hacks?
Well, from a U.S. perspective, it's certainly not good that these attacks are succeeding, and it's definitely bad PR for the U.S. On the other hand, a cybersecurity expert that I spoke to today told me that the fact that we know the names of these Chinese hacker groups shows that U.S. cybersecurity is at least working. These are clandestine operations, after all. And there may also be U.S. cyber operations against China and other actors that have not been made public. For example, last year there was a major hack against iOS devices known as Operation Triangulation. Now, it's widely suspected that this was a U.S. government hack, but the official, the person who carried out this attack has not been officially named. So this is just kind of how espionage works between major powers. And this is probably not going to be the last hack that we hear about in the near future.
Thanks for that, Chris. That was Chris Gorin reporting from Taipei. U.S. President Joe Biden has announced a nearly $6 billion aid package for Ukraine. The package includes $2.5 billion in weapons assistance, including drones, missiles, and anti-tank weapons. There will also be $3.4 billion in economic assistance to help Ukraine pay for critical government services. The Biden administration is pushing to get as much aid to Ukraine before Donald Trump is inaugurated on January 20th. Trump has vowed to end the war in Ukraine. Hundreds of prisoners have been freed in an exchange deal between Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says 189 Ukrainian prisoners were freed in the deal brokered by the United Arab Emirates. That includes military personnel, border and national guards, and 2 civilians. The deal was for 150 captives from each side. The reason for the discrepancy remains unclear. Taiwan is reporting 5 Chinese military aircraft operating around the country since Monday, 3 of which flew closer and breached the country's Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ. This would put the total number of ADIZ incursions from China well past 3,000 for this year. For more on what this number means, Jaime Ocon spoke to Ben Lewis, the co-founder of PLA Tracker in Washington, D.C.
Ben, what have we seen this year in terms of Chinese military aircraft breaching Taiwan's ADIZ, or Air Defense Identification Zone?
So in 2024, we broke 3,000 ADIZ violations by the Chinese, which is the highest on record. Originally 2022 was the highest with 1738. Now we've broken 3,000. It's a very significant jump. It's a very significant jump from last year. And almost all of that activity has taken place in the second half of the year.
Looking at the overall ADIZ activity within Taiwan in 2024, is there a clear moment this year that we saw a pretty significant spike in activity?
Well, really, the clear indicator is May 2024, following President Lai's inauguration. At the start of the year, we had really kind of very low levels of activity, the lowest we had seen in almost 2 years. And then starting in May, you jump up kind of back to regular numbers. So it's an unprecedented surge that is sustained through the end of December, just continually increased. And even though it decreased some in the last 2 months of the year, it's still well above average.
And what about the sort of gray zone threats, the drones, the balloons, the kind of smaller scale kind of aggressions that China uses to put pressure on Taiwan? Did we see more of those capabilities being used this year?
Yes. I mean, I think the takeaway from 2024 is more aircraft, more ships, more balloons, more drones, more of everything, everything that we know about. So in short, yes, the Beijing has activated nearly every tool in its arsenal to coerce Taiwan in the gray zone, to put pressure on Taipei to make concessions or to not make decisions Beijing feels are in violation of One China principle. And so 2024 was the most intense year. And really the second half of 2024 was the most intense period that we have on record.
That was Ben Lewis, the co-founder of PLA Tracker in Washington, D.C. An arrest warrant has been issued for South Korea's impeached President Yoon over his attempt to impose martial law. Yoon was impeached and had his powers suspended for his decision to impose martial law in early December. He revoked the decision in a matter of hours. He is now facing a criminal investigation and possible insurrection charges. Later this week, South Korea's top court will hold its second hearing on whether to reinstate Yoon or remove him permanently from office. South Korean officials will begin safety inspections of all Boeing 737-800 aircraft operated by the country's airlines as they try to figure out what caused Sunday's deadly crash. Only 2 of the 181 people on board the plane survived the disaster. It's prompted countries around the region to look at their own safety mechanisms. Authorities in South Korea are still racing to identify bodies 2 days after the shocking crash of a Jeju Air passenger plane at Muan Airport, the country's worst ever air travel disaster. The passenger plane traveling from Thailand to the airport in South Korea's southwest killed 179 people, all but 2 people on board. Mourning family members can only pray and wait for all victims to be found, with some urging officials to hire more people to aid the effort. A test for the country's acting president Choi Sang-mok here at a memorial for the victims who took office less than 48 hours before the crash.
겨울이지만 온도가 굉장히 지금 올라가고 있습니다. 그러다 보니 유족들의 시신들이 급속히 부패가 이루어질 상황이 발생을 할 수가 있더라고요.
Questions remain about what exactly happened after the pilot made a mayday call reporting a bird strike. The Boeing B-737-800 aircraft then made an emergency belly landing without its gear and wheels, skidding and then slamming into a concrete wall, almost 250 meters after the end of the runway. Muan Airport was known to have a runway nearly a kilometer shorter than most international airports.
It really has to be a series of catastrophic events that lead to such a high loss of life. It is incredibly unusual.
Following the deadly crash, concerns in neighboring Taiwan arose over the safety of its own Songshan airport. Though not the country's main air hub, Songshan is right in the capital city, with a runway that's 2,600 meters long, 200 meters shorter than that at Muan Airport. But Taiwan's Transport Safety Authority has reassured that Songshan's safety features are in good order and explained that the end of the runway is fitted with a crushable material called Engineered Materials Arresting Systems, or EMAS, designed to stop aircraft that overrun.
EMAS 本身是一个轻质混凝土的结构，也就是说，当飞机在一定的速度撞到这个轻质混凝土，飞机里面的发动机跟飞机的蒙皮结构都不会受到任何的损害，所以这个轻质混凝土就会散成一个粉末状。
The material was installed following a 2004 incident at the airport, where a TransAsia Airways plane overran the runway, coming just 15 meters short of a barrier. But aviation experts say that EMAS material may not be enough if aircraft are making emergency landings at high speeds. As renewed scrutiny falls upon airport designs and safety, these families in South Korea are now camped out at the airport, in shock and inconsolable as they wait to be reunited with their loved ones' remains. Kamashu and Joyce for TaiwanPlus. In southern Ethiopia, at least 71 people have been killed after a truck they were on plunged into a river. Officials say the truck, which was part of a wedding caravan, missed a bridge and fell to the river below on Sunday. They say it was overloaded, the likely cause of the accident. Traffic accidents are common in Ethiopia due to lax driving standards and poor road conditions. A county government in southern Taiwan has organized a class to teach people how to catch green iguanas, which are an invasive species and cause serious problems in the region. Spots filled up in 5 minutes, with many people eager to help. Cadence Quaranta reports.
Catching Green Iguanas 101. A training course in southern Taiwan is packed with people eager to learn how to get rid of this invasive species that eats fields of crops, kills other animals, and wrecks farmers' livelihoods.
自己住那个乡村啊，那个种的蔬菜都是绿鬣蜥在帮忙吃。
150 spots in the class, organized by the Pingtung County government, filled up in just 5 minutes. At the end, they sign a contract promising they will follow local guidelines and not abuse the reptiles or upload photos of them.
我们自己的渔温就都有这种侵害觉得现在有这个机会，就是一起为我们的这个地方付出一点点心力。
Not native to Taiwan, around 100,000 green iguanas were imported here as pets in the early 2000s. And as their owners started to abandon them when they became difficult to care for, the iguanas entered the wild. Over the years, their population has exploded, creating serious problems. Apart from eating crops, experts are also worried about the parasites they carry. This year, Pingtung County alone has caught over 40,000 green iguanas, and there are many more. With no natural predators, they are hard to eliminate and can easily reproduce, laying up to 70 eggs at a time. Local officials say getting rid of them will be a long-term process, and they hope to equip regular people to help.
我们还会再开2场这样子，那2月份我们也会看情形再来规划。
Taiwan has also taken other measures to stop their spread, including banning import and breeding of the species. And now, residents in this county will also be properly trained to join the fight against green iguanas. Joseph Wu and Cadence Quaranta for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more of our stories. Finally, we leave you with scenes of people testing the confetti ahead of New Year's Eve celebrations in the Big Apple. I'm Joyce. Take care and see you in the new year.